In Egypt, we are now joined by correspondent Albina Kovaloyova live from Moscow in Russia. Good evening, Albina, and thank you so much for joining us. Now, how has the Russian public responded to the news that the plane was definitely shot down?
Well, the Russian public hasn't had much time to react to this news yet. But it's, I think, fair to expect the Russian public to mostly support Russia's continuing action in Syria. Russia has intensified its bombings of IS targets in Syria today, coordinating with the French military. At least that was Vladimir Putin's direct request.
Albina, will this influence Russia's approach to fighting terror? Aside from hunting down those responsible, has Putin made any further promises regarding this particular incident?
Well, like I said, I mean, he has intensified, the Russian military has intensified its bombing campaign in Syria, and Vladimir Putin has made clear that this is going to continue. There's also, of course, the proposed American and Russian transition plan for Syria that is meant to take place within the next 18 months, including an early presidential election for Syria.
Now, Albina, when the incident happened, reports of the Islamic State claiming responsibility made the rounds. Are these new developments further confirmation of that?
Perhaps, but Russia has been already talking to the Egyptian authorities, and of course the intelligence from the US and the UK has already been available to Russia. Now, the timing of today's announcement is very interesting because it follows the meetings in Turkey, but also, of course, the horrendous attack in Paris.
And Albina, ever since their initial claim of responsibility, has the Islamic State made any further comment?
Well, the Islamic State has made a video in which they are warning Russia of further attacks. Of course, other countries have also been warned of possible attacks.
Now, what's the feeling on the ground with the Russian people regarding the involvement of Russia in Syria, considering the fact that it's been a couple of hours with Russia attacking or throwing sorties into Raqqa? What's the feeling on the ground? What are the people saying?
Well, the Russian polls are showing an increasing support of Russian military action in Syria. If before Russian people were not very supportive and didn't even know much about the conflict, then in recent weeks we have seen an upsurge of Russian support of the action in Syria. A lot of Russians seem to think that this would prevent terrorist attacks happening in Russia. But I'd just like to add that it's a bit too early to say what the Russian people think about today's actions. Still some time needs to pass, I think, for the polls to show some sort of reliable result.
Okay. Albina, there have been reports of Russia setting up a joint operations center with some of its allies to strengthen the fight in Syria. What's the latest on that?
Well, the latest today is a move towards working with France. President Hollande of France is expected to visit Russia later next week, and today Vladimir Putin has asked his military to coordinate the action in Syria with the French Navy in particular.
Now, Albina, with regards to the attack by Russia into Syria of ISIS, what has been the reaction of the president of Syria, Assad, considering the fact that Russia has been backing him all this time? Now, with these attacks taking place in Syria, in his country, what does this mean for the relationship going forward?
I'm afraid I don't know what President Bashar al-Assad has said today. I'm not covering the side of Syria, but I imagine that he is supporting Russia's support of him, it would not be in his interest to oppose that.
Well, thank you very much indeed for your insight. That was correspondent Albina Kovaloyova live from Moscow.